So our speaker today is our beloved Kevin Hauber, and he has a message actually that it covers longevity. And so the talk title is Live Long and Prosper. So, Kevin.
Good morning. Good to be back with you. I'm getting used to this hybrid format thing that seems to be everywhere now. I'm actually trying to figure that out for my yoga program too. So, and dropping things too. So before I start on the lesson, I want to share a little story with you. Those of you who know my wife Kristen know that she loves to sing, and she has done musicals and operas and all kinds of things for many years, and got involved with the local Gilbert and Sullivan company here a few years ago. So the last performance of the current production that they're doing of Ruddigore is going to be this afternoon at 3 o'clock at Cuesta College. But the backstory behind that is that a few years ago, she came to me and said, "We would like you," meaning those in the company, "we would like you to come and be a supernumerary." And I said, "Do I get a cape?" Because that sounds like it deserves a cape with a big S on it. And she says, no, a supernumerary is a non-singing, non-speaking part where you just walk on and walk off. And I said, "That's all I have to do?" Okay, we'll go do this together. So the first production I did, they had me as the barrister, the attorney, who was auctioning off the young man to all of the maidens kind of thing. And they had me in the full barrister outfit with the wig and everything else, and I felt like a spaniel with all of that going on. And it was fun. It was really, and neat people and fun production, all that kind of thing. And so COVID hits, and there hasn't been all of the production, all of the theater stuff, of course, for a couple of years. So they're doing one now. They're doing this Ruddigore production that's not as well known as some of the other production, Pirates of Penzance and the other kinds of things that Gilbert and Sullivan has done. But they're doing this production. They said, okay, so we want you to come back and be the priest that marries the young couple. And I said, so wait a minute. You must have had somebody that was doing this before. What happened? And she said, oh, well, he died. You're not selling this very well. What did he die of? And she said, so it was natural causes, don't worry. Okay. So I'll be the priest. And I walked into my first rehearsal, and the director says, "Can you dance?" No, I can't dance. And then Kristen walks in right behind me and says, "Oh yeah, he dances really well." Great view from under the bus here, hon. So this afternoon, I will be the priest marrying the couple that kind of keeps changing on things on this last production of Ruddigore. And in the dress rehearsal and the production last night, several people came up to me and started asking for forgiveness. And, I said, well, that really depends on how you do in the production today. So we can practice conscious choice in forgiveness in that kind of sense. So if you have nothing going on this afternoon or no other plans for Father's Day, come and see the production. And it's just been a lot of fun to get back into being around people doing things like that, as I'm sure all of us are getting into doing. Okay, enough on that subject for the moment. I want to work with this live long and prosper idea. Exactly, Joe. We'll get into that here in just a minute. Yeah, you got it. So the New York Times had an article here a while back that I thought was really, really wonderful, and I want to share the context of that with you, and then have some discussion about it. Kane Tanaka, who died in Japan in April, survived 2 world wars, the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, paratyphoid, and 2 rounds of cancer. She loved chocolate and hated losing at board games. Kane Tanaka in 2019, this is a picture of her in 2019 when she was 116 years old. 116, during a ceremony in Fukuoka in Japan to recognize her as the world's oldest person. And you can see in the picture, there's her Guinness Book of World Records certificate down there as the world's oldest person. In September of 2019, the mayor of Fukuoka, Japan, made a pilgrimage to see Kane Tanaka at her nursing home. She was 116 years old then and fielded questions from a gaggle of reporters with the cocky confidence of a prize fighter. What they asked was the secret to living so long. Being myself, she said. Happiest moment? Now. Best diet for staying healthy. Appreciate anything I eat. She had developed a taste for chocolate and Coca-Cola on an American military base and regularly consumed fizzy drinks for half a century. When Ms. Tanaka died at 119 in April, not far from the now shuttered base in the southern city of Fukuoka, she was the world's oldest person and had lived 7 years longer than the oldest American veteran of World War II. In Japan, which has the world's oldest population, Ms. Tanaka had become a symbol of how to age gracefully and fend off cancer and other ailments. Deep into her 12th decade, visitors found her not just to be alert, but vivacious and irrepressibly funny. A silver role model. Japan's demographics trends have spawned a range of challenges, including older drivers, epidemics of dementia, and they've also created the need for role models like Ms. Tanaka, who not only endure, but thrive in their golden years and beyond. Sweet story, huh? Sweet, sweet story. There's a quote here: she had a clear mind, took care of herself, and lived to an advanced age, said Shinichi Oshima, the president of the Japan Foundation for Aging and Health. That's worth celebrating. She gave hope to others, making them think, oh, we may be able to live to that age too, and happy to boot. Yeah. So accordingly, I titled the lesson for today, Live Long and Prosper. Now, I know that it's Father's Day, but to me, that subject ties in really well, because what would a father want for his children more than to live long and prosper? I mean, isn't that what us as dads want to launch our children into, and that divine masculine that wants to make that way into the world for ourselves and our offspring and others that we love? Well, the nerd part of me loves the old Star Trek reference to live long and prosper, which, Joe was back there making the live long and prosper sign, because that was the catchphrase for Mr. Spock on Star Trek. And that was always delivered in kind of a cool Vulcan way, though, where it was very, very dispassionate. But I'd like to look at it in a more of a joyful way, like we're talking about with Kane Tanaka today. Because after all, to reach 119 with a steady diet of chocolate and Coca-Cola is something to aspire to, at least for my wife, Kristen. When I told her about that, Kristen said, oh, she is my spirit animal. So there's more to the Star Trek nerd out part of it, though, because here's a piece about that Vulcan salute. In his 1975 autobiography, I Am Not Spock, Nimoy, who was Jewish, wrote that he based it on the priestly blessing performed by the Jewish Kohanim with both hands. It's that sign, actually, with both hands, that's made as a blessing during certain ceremonies in the Orthodox Church. Now, the letter that corresponds to means Almighty God, and it also means shalom, which you know to mean peace, right? So, this is another version of the peace symbol, right? A little different than the victory sign and all those kinds of things, the peace sign that we got used to in the 60s. So Nimoy wrote that when he was a child, his grandfather took him to an Orthodox synagogue where he saw the blessing performed, and he was impressed by it. And I have a little graphic of that particular blessing being offered that I can show you if you want afterwards. So others often greeted Nimoy with that Vulcan sign, with the Vulcan salute, which became so well known that in 2014, an emoji character was added so that if you want to use the Vulcan salute on your phone when you're texting people, you can do this. So if you just put in Vulcan salute, it'll come up with that particular emoji, which is much better than the I'm angry and stuck in traffic salute that gets used a lot in the world that doesn't have so many fingers involved. Anyway, William Shatner took a page out of Leonard Nimoy's book, using that phrase, live long and prosper, as the title for his own book, adding his own take on it, that I can't die as long as I'm booked. That Shatner has lived to a ripe old age, and for that reason, he keeps himself booked constantly. So I've wondered why I've seen him on all these different shows, traveling all around the world and doing all of this kind of stuff, and it's because of that. He just wants to constantly be busy. So we'll have a conversation some other time about the busy mind, but that's another lesson. So anyway, Live Long and Prosper Day is celebrated on March 26th, which was Leonard Nimoy's birthday. So, mark your calendar for next March 26th to celebrate Live Long and Prosper Day. Now, I still like Connie Tanaka's take on her favorite moment being now. And also that she appreciates anything that she eats, because I'm kind of in the boat on that one myself, that I like food, and as a rule, it likes me. So let's look at those points here for a moment. There's a lot of presence in those practices. We hear a lot about the power of now. There are books written about the power of now. There's all kinds of philosophy that goes around that. But to actually live that is a wonderful thing. Now, imagine being able to take 119 years of lived experience and still know that your present moment is your favorite moment right now. That is amazing. That's joyful, and that's living in the now. Imagine how many highs and lows there would have been in that 119 years of time, or 90 years of time, right, Glenna? Imagine that for yourself in your time on the planet. How many highs and lows have you experienced? Now, in the case of Tane Kanaka, every one of her contemporaries would have passed before her. But still, her favorite moment was now. Her favorite moment, and what was right in front of her. Consider how many devastating moments of war and plague and famine and economic strife and all of the other dramas of life that must have passed in her lifetime. But instead of all of that pain being brought forward into this moment, it's released to her favorite moment right now with chocolate, right? And maybe a Coke as a chaser. Now that is a way of life, and a good one. It goes right along with appreciating anything that she eats. So given the history of Japan, consider how many times there might not have been enough to eat. I mean, that had to have occurred at different times, but that didn't come out in her as fear and resentment. It came out as appreciation. It came out as, I'm happy for what I have, for what's right in front of me now. And again, we should all aspire to meet life on those kinds of terms. I read an article in National Geographic recently that talked about the diets of people in places in the world where there is longevity within the local populations, where the lifespan is the longest. And I can pretty much guarantee you that it didn't include a lot of fast food. It was places that had much more natural kinds of diets. And that those diets typically included simple foods that were close to nature, but not just that. The lifestyles were simpler too. Now, there's something about joy and appreciation in the moment now, in an environment that's absent of fear, that goes a long way toward a long, happy life. Yes, there are genetic factors that show up too, but there are epigenetic factors that we have to take into account. Now, you may know that epigenetics are the things that happen to us and how those get internalized in our genes and then passed on to our offspring. And a lot of times they'll show up generations down the road because they are embedded in our DNA. Now, we may not be able to choose our external experiences, just like Brian was talking about earlier, but that reframe that he was talking about, that's what we can work with, because that is what gets internalized in us, the epigenetics in our DNA. Now, Kane Tanaka would likely not have chosen to live through 2 world wars, 2 pandemics, 2 rounds of cancer, and goodness knows how many other dramas occurred along the way. But she did choose how she was going to live in response to what life presented. And with practice and with a little bit of luck, we can all do the same thing. And we can have that joyous live long and prosper going on for ourselves. Okay, so let's take that into meditation together. So I invite you to ground through your feet, through your seat, whatever feels like the best way to connect for you. Find that grounding. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. Breathe and feel that breath lift up the spine, lengthen out through the crown, making space inside. Breathing in and out, and as you exhale, release and ground. Making space, releasing whatever needs to be released along the way, whatever doesn't serve anymore. And just follow your breath. And let everything else just pass by, the thoughts, the emotions, the tasks, the aversions. Let it all just blow by in that breeze that runs through your mind. And as you make space inside, notice that there is a great joy available to you in just being alive. Yes, there are things to do and things to work toward, but this moment contains joy just in being, along with whatever else might be going on. But take a moment and notice that joy. And may you remember that with each breath. Fill yourself with joy repeatedly throughout the day. Every time breathing in that joy, today and through all coming days. Hang out with that for just a moment. And when you're ready, you can bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes. Don't be in too big a hurry. Breathe, breathing in that joy, filling yourself with it. being present in the moment now. And I invite you to bring your attention back to the room, continue this meditation on joy if you like. Afterwards, I say thank you and bless you. Namaste. Happy Father's Day, and live long and prosper. Blessings to you.